folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. You're crazy. I'm not crazy. I just don't give a fuck. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Gersh, and this week we are doing another movie review. This is Night of the Comet. Released in 1984, directed by Tom Eberhardt, starring Catherine Mary Stewart, Kelly Maroney, and Robert Beltran. So yes, 1984, great year for sci-fi and horror. That's the year that The Terminator came out, one of my all-time favorite movies. And I would definitely classify this film as sci-fi horror, for sure. So the film stars Catherine Mary Stewart and Kelly Maroney as sisters. And Reggie works at the local movie theater, which is a job I always wanted to do. I think I applied like 10 times, but apparently I'm not qualified to work at a movie theater. I can't even sling popcorn. So Reggie likes to play video games, some old school classic arcades. One game in particular where she has the high score from like 1 to 35. Except one guy gets through, Mr. DMK, in that number 6, and that really pisses her off. So what's happening around town is all the local townsfolk are gathering together for this big event where they're going to watch a comet go by from space, and I guess it's supposed to get pretty close, you know, and this only happens every 1,000 years or so. So yeah, everyone's gathering together. They're even trying to hawk merchandise at the movie theater. But Regina goes off with her boyfriend at the theater to have a little hanky-panky, you know, with her boyfriend. And Samantha, meanwhile, is stuck at home. And her bitchy stepmother forces her to stay home. And unfortunately, what happens is when they wake up in the morning, Reggie goes outside and finds there's nothing, there's nobody around anywhere. And all she sees is a bunch of clothes on the ground with red dust everywhere. And there's like this red smog, this red fog in the sky, you know. It's like, what the hell is going on around here? And she runs into a zombie. She gets attacked by a zombie. And she finds a pair of keys on the ground and takes off on the motorcycle down the street to her house to get Samantha. So Samantha wakes up as well, and she's just completely oblivious to anything going on, even after Reggie tells her, you know, there's no one around. Everyone is gone. Everyone has been completely incinerated by the comet. Either that or they're turning into zombies, and it's like a virus that's affecting people, slowly turning them into zombies. So they find that everyone's gone, except they do hear someone on the radio. So apparently there is still a radio broadcast going on, which you see it on the big boom box, you know, big classic 80s style boom box. And this film has some great 80s soundtrack for sure. So much fun. So they go down to the local radio station to see if anyone's alive down there, see if there's any survivors. And they don't find anyone, except there is one guy, Hector, who is a survivor. And he first tries to take them hostage, but he finds that, you know, we're all alone in this together, so we might as well try and get along. And they do eventually become friends, and, you know, Reggie kind of takes a fancy to him, too. Samantha ends up just kind of being like the third wheel. But they get some couple MAC-10 submachine guns along the way. And they take off to the local mall. So they decide, you know, no one's around, we might as well just have some fun. And they party at the mall, getting all dolled up and glammed up with the classic 80s hairdo, teased up to the ceiling. Damn, I miss those days. Jamming to Girls Just Want to Have Fun, only it's like the Drew's Famous version of Girls Just Want to Have Fun. I guess Cyndi Lauper did not approve of this movie. Either that or they couldn't afford the rights to it. But yeah, this movie is so much fun. It's so 80s, and I just love it. It's like a bygone era. But yeah, they're partying at the mall until they run into a couple crazy stock boys that try and gun them down. They have a big gun battle in the middle of the mall, and it reminds me a lot of Dawn of the Dead in a way. Especially the mall setting, and they're having the big gun battles. And a couple of them are like kind of slowly deteriorating. You can see one guy is turning into a zombie, We also find about this local underground research facility where they're studying the disease to try and find a cure. Except they're kind of using humans as guinea pigs, And when they're done with what they need, getting their blood samples and doing their experiments, they basically euthanize the people. It's like, damn. And apparently they're idiots too, because they left all the ventilator shafts and air conditioning open, so the fog got through, the red fog got through, and they're all exposed. So they're trying to find people around the city that have not been exposed so they can experiment and try and find a cure. So they try and take Reggie and Samantha hostage. Only they find that Samantha has been exposed and she's starting to slowly deteriorate due to the disease. So they decide to euthanize her instead of bringing her back to the facility because they don't want her to get to further expose everyone. Only they don't really do it. This lady who's kind of one of the leaders of the facility, she kind of fakes giving her a euthanize shot because she doesn't want her to die, She doesn't believe in this whole thing. There's one girl that she doesn't believe in what they're doing, So she saves her life and takes her own life by giving herself the shot of death, so to speak. And so yeah, such a fun film. I highly recommend it to anyone who loves 80s nostalgia, anyone who loves sci-fi horror, anyone who loves a great 80s synth soundtrack. And yeah, it's a lot of fun, and there's a little bit of cheese there. It's not a straight up, scary sci-fi horror movie. It's just a lot of fun, It's a great slice of 80s nostalgia and cheese, equipped with the big hair and the classic 80s soundtrack. So I definitely highly recommend it to all sci-fi and horror fans. It's one of the most fun movies I've ever seen, And I was a late bloomer to this one. I didn't get around to seeing this one until maybe last year. I never saw it when I was a kid. I always had heard about it, but I just never got around to seeing it. It's funny that way, As many times as I went to the video store and saw it on the shelves, I just never got around to renting it or seeing it on TV, but so glad I finally did, because Night of the Comet is definitely an 80s classic, for sure. I give it 2 devil horns way up, and thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Urshan, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared. Good evening, folks, and we got some brand new merchandise for you over at www.thehorrorcona.com, and that's CONA.com. Representing the Horror Corner. Great new design. We got the Morbid Hour live stream there, you got the Horror Hangout live stream there, and you got my nemesis, the Dark Fate. So grab your t-shirt over at www.thehorrorkona.com. And we also got this beautiful new mug. Look at that. Very, very cool. Thought that came out really nice. So grab your merchandise today over at www.thehorrorkona.com. Folks, don't forget to grab your Sean Patrick Urshan gear and represent the Horror Corner. Also, check out these awesome mugs we have. Perfect for your coffee. And definitely check out the Horror Hangout live stream t-shirt and represent the legacy of the Horror Hangout. Check out the link in the description below this video.